remittances sent to support families, pay tuition fees, cover medical bills, and so on. And a meaningful fraction of that 38 billion is lost to fees, to exchange rate spreads sent by these intermediaries, to settlement days of 2, 3, sometimes 5 days, to messaging systems that were designed in 1973 and has not fundamentally changed since. The technology to move value across borders in under a minute with transparent fees with no intermediaries has existed for years. The problem has never been in the technology. It has been in the infrastructure, in the regulation and coordination. Tokenization does not fix inequality by itself. Nothing does by itself, but it restructures the access. It changes who can hold what, at what minimum, and at what liquidity. This is not abstract thinking. This is the architecture of a more distributed economy. And it is exactly what Pakistan needs to be building on top and not waiting for somebody else to deploy here first. This is the infrastructural gap, and that is what we set out to close. So in July 2025, the president signed an ordinance establishing PVARA not as a sub-department of an existing regulator, a standalone institution with its own mandate and its own reinforcement powers. I've had the privilege of leading it. In the months that followed, we were building, we were hiring, drafting, licensing rule books, which are still being written, because getting them right matters more than getting them out fast. Issuing preliminary authorizations to bring the world's largest exchanges, Pakistan's regulated parameters. Opening up regulatory sandboxes with its first cohort focused on tokenization of real-world assets, because if participation is the argument, then this is where you start integrating ML and CFT compliance. And 2 weeks ago, the State Bank of Pakistan issued a circular enabling commercial banks to open accounts for PVARA licensed entities, and the rails are being connected right now. In March 2026, the Parliament went ahead. The Virtual Assets Act passed through both the houses of the parliament and received the presidential assent. So the parliament legislation, a law, all of this in 9 months. Next steps for PVARA are finalizing the core regulations, operationalizing licensing, building internal capacity, strengthening supervisory and enforcement readiness, and ensuring that we have compliant market enablement in a phased and credible manner, so we can start to experiment on the tokenization aspect. So we have opened up sandboxes for tokenization, and we would work with these companies. And we want to be market ready for the time that they graduate from that sandbox. Now, let me put that into context. Because in this space is not just operational metric, it is a statement of intent. Dubai built its virtual assets regulatory authority, took 3 years. That's backed by a sovereign wealth and the government with nearly zero political friction. Singapore has been licensing crypto entities since 2020, 6 years of careful iteration. The European Union took 4 years to pass MiCA, the world's most comprehensive crypto legislation, and another 2 years to implement it. Pakistan went from vision to operational institution in 9 months. We did not cut corners to get there. We had clarity of purpose. There is a difference. And here is something that I think genuinely surprises most people when they hear it, that the United States and Pakistan are at the moment on roughly parallel legislation tracks. The Genius Act, the Clarity Act, the market structures framework moving through Congress, and what Pakistan has built through the Virtual Assets Act are conveying on the same foundational architecture: stable coins, oversight, vast licensing, AML integration, consumer protection, travel rule compliance. So this is not a developed versus a developing country story. This is two jurisdictions, one very large and one building fast, arriving at the same conclusions from different starting points at the same time. That convergence is the proof that transition is genuinely global, and the relevant variable is not wealth, it is the will. You will hear today about AI in the future of work, and I want to place one frame around that conversation before it begins. This is not an emerging market problem. The question of what happens to labor, to professional services, to the structure of employment when autonomous agents can execute knowledge work at a fraction of a current cost is a question as critical for Harvard as it is for Islamabad equally. What varies is the starting point position and what happens, and also what varies critically is the opportunity to shape what comes next. The norms, the standards, the accountability frameworks for autonomous systems are now being written in regulatory consultations, in legislation chambers, in conversations like this one. The rule book for the machine economy does not exist, and that means that every jurisdiction that shows up with a serious institutional presence gets a hand in writing it. Pakistan is in those conversations, and we are not there as a supplement, we are here as a builder. I will not tell you today that Pakistan has solved all of its problems. We have deep challenges, macroeconomic constraints that narrow our margin of error, institutional reform that moves slower than technology that is governing it does, a trust deficit where private capital that we are repairing through demonstrated consistency, not assertion. They are real. We hold them plainly, but here is what is also real. Every civilization shift that had a connective tissue. Roads moved the Roman Empire, shipping lanes moved the British one, the TCP, IP protocol moved the internet economy. The connectivity issue of the machine economy is programmable money, tokenized assets, and autonomous settlement infrastructure. That tissue is being laid today, right now, protocol by protocol, jurisdiction by jurisdiction, decision by decision. So Pakistan is building infrastructure not because we were invited to, because we understood early that most of the invitation comes from those who are ready for it. And essentially, the machine economy is not just coming, it is here. The ownership gap is not inevitable. It is a design problem, and design problems have solution, and Pakistan is working on them. Thank you.